Hello, hi there from Mr. Podsabinski at this time of the last week of May of 2023. And the reason for this video is because it's the mark an anniversary, uh, prevented luckily by the grace of God or whatever, man. With that schizophrenia, this is not the only time I should have been dead. I mean, it could have been dead. I mean, it's page 97 in my first In the Grip third edition book, uh, In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia. Third edition. So 97, I think it starts that chapter. I forget what it's called, but it starts with the police surrounding me and the payphone trying to call an 800 toll number, free number for, actually at the time it was a Buddhist abbey somewhere, located somewhere, undisclosed location today. And the call wouldn't go through, It's just the operator said the call wouldn't go through or something. So somebody had control over the phone, like the cops are around, and there's a real dark cloud that came up across the street that direction from where the payphone was and I was, and dark clouds formed and menacing mass of like dark clouds coming too. So then the cops pulled in and drove their guns on me and shit, and I pulled a knife on my neck. Did I know I was doing that? No, I didn't. That's the whole point. When you're psychotic, you are no longer responsible for what you're doing, because what was thinking in my mind at that time, precise time, was on the other side of that bad, black, dark cloud up there in the sky is a big bad UFO that if I die, it'll take me, put me at the control buttons to press the buttons on brainwashing myself from a UFO war assault on the world. It was crazy. If you'd read the whole extent of that encounter in different countries and their intelligence agencies, and a lot of them were annoyed that the United States didn't legalize the drug that made me well until 10 years after it was available in Europe. So what does that mean? In those 10 years, both of those 94 and 87 years, 1984 and 1987, 1994 and 1990, 1994 and 1987, there were 7 years of reign of the holy, ungodly terror I was, schizophrenically deluded by things I was hallucinating. I still say that's where the voices come from, man. You hallucinate something first. It might just be as simple as a little dark shadow creak around the corner in the middle of the night when you're sitting there or something, and then you'll brain will light up like something's going on, creepy, imagine in your mind. And so it goes from there to the various stages of actually seeing not around you what's there. You see it, but it's like the movie screen for what is projected onto it by the hallucinatory spectrum of the illness of schizophrenia. So it's caused by two brain chemicals going way too high, which they can be good brain chemicals, I guess, or they wouldn't be in there too. But because the dopamine is said to have to do with motivation and pleasure seeking, rewards from pleasure from rewards, or something from your efforts or motivation or whatever. I read some of that stuff. I don't understand the language. I understand what they're saying. But so I know when I'm in the right, although I may not be able to always describe it, but that might be sketchy. But with just Google it available, and then that's a different story now, isn't it? Can you take Google in a court of law, say I want my answer here, find my answer here for right now? I mean, so I wonder they'll have that problem sooner or later, I would imagine. But so the web camera was, well, the new computer is being built. I've been slowly taking my time putting software into it and getting it in order. But the other, well, people, some people don't understand technical stuff, so I better just not say anything. But it's like two computers in one. You can't use them at the same time, but they use the same motherboard. They just have different software and do different functions. The second one is for my music making that's not done being built. That problem it went into, man. I did that before a couple times, and I don't know how I did it. It wasn't even Windows 10. It was probably Windows 7, but or maybe it was. But it took me like weeks to solve the problem, man. And I had it working. There's a one box you check. It says, "Listen to this device" on the screen, little box, So you check it, you click on it, and then sound instantly comes into the room speakers. Meanwhile, just on the headphones and in the computer or somewhere, they're not coming through the computer. So somehow I had that working, and I don't know what I clicked. It took the speakers out of the room, but they're in the headphones from the stereo mixer box and all that electronic gadgetry there over there. But so I've got the same problem to figure out. It took me weeks and months even, I think, to figure this problem out in the past. So yeah, you work on it a few days in a row, you get tired of it, you go take a couple of days off, and main objective for the day is to fix this problem, and until you get tired of it and do something else. So anyways, there was a new computer I bought because I had the money saved up for it, and so I got most of it straightened out, but just a few quirky things, software-wise issues that need. There's a zillion settings, man, and contemplate. Well, if you don't know how computers work, what I'm talking about, you wouldn't understand the frustration that would be involved in having to fix a never-ending stream of broken computers. my my one old grade school friend, Kenny Parmy, told me that that it would be hell. That would be hell to have to work on a never-ending stream of endless broken computers, dysfunctioning computers or whatever. And the headaches you get into, that would be hell. An endless supply, a week's supply, even every week, but with no days off. So it'd be driving you nuts. But so yeah, so this was the week I was picked up in 1994 in the parking lot, and was released the following January. And I had to fight them. Well, why did this have to be? And then an interesting point here. Everybody talks about big pharma, So this new second generation antipsychotic was made. I waited 14 years for it, hoping it would make the right difference, and it did. It does. Later, 10 years later, we fine tuned it with a competent doctor and added a second one, a little bit of another Abilify with the Risperdal, and it made a difference. So we increased it to the next higher dose to 10 milligrams, and with the Risperdal, and the fact that it causes the extended sleep duration, the Risperdal. I asked the doctor 20 years, would it be, could we lower it to like one those 2 milligram tablets to just two a day to one a day to try to help that? She said, absolutely not, too risky. So I've learned from good people, good person doctor for 20 years. We must have met 70 times. So I always had notes for her conversations. Although she was, she carried herself, she wasn't argumentative and wanting to just run your life, like some of those string skate, idiots shouldn't even be in practice. If you're not a people person, you shouldn't go into psychiatry. So, what else was I going to say? My memory is not real good today. I'm tired later in my day. The next day's up already on me. But so, oh wow, there were so many things I was thinking. So trying to get the computer build is what I'm taking my time on and thinking about. I watched those last 4 videos, and then I watched that last fifth one a couple times, and I said, I appear coherent in there, or not as incoherent as I'm accused of being, because I think more of that came from the talk to text I concluded, and various ones working differently from one from another, like the pixel text, cellular text, talk to text, and the messenger for Facebook talk to text is way screwed up, and so I don't know. Does it depend on the phone or the program, the home world program where they're located? I don't know how the system works. I don't know enough about it, but it's just a nuisance when software has to be updated regularly time you turn around. But so yeah, so it was that the police and that last time I was picked up, and about the computer programs, yeah, and the other my other programs of my mind, that was what I wanted to mention too. At the time, this time, uh, I didn't know nicotine would be an active neurochemical. When I discontinued it from my regime, I felt relaxed and better for it was at about the third month that I had to go back on the nicotine. So for at least 2 months of that, 60 days of that anyway, I felt a lot better because I had that out of my system. It's a vasoconstrictor, constricts capillaries, and your blood flow, and you feel colder that easier than your extremities that way. Even on a warm day you can, or a relatively warm day. I mean, so just the coldness feels different when you use nicotine on your extremities when you're older, anyway. But it also causes Risperdal extended sleep duration, like 18 hours, 22 hours, no problem for me before my switch to my brain is time to get up. It could be at any minute of the day or night. So and this would make living with anybody impossible. So uh, weekends maybe would be nice. I mean, but with some right company, I mean, companion, I mean, partner, I mean, but occasional random on the weekends or whatever. But I couldn't stand living with anybody 24/7, man. They couldn't stand living with me. I mean, just, no matter, even if I wouldn't live here, it wouldn't matter where it was. You know, it just that ain't the life. The cards in the deck of life, card game of life the cards I was dealt didn't include that. Those nice homes down the roads they're building, all the back was just woods years ago, decades ago. I mean, but so where do people get that money? I didn't have any idea how to make it or any ability. I mean, God, the only people that would know would be maybe besides the Social Security would be the IRS as to how if they have records back that far, how many times I worked, and Social Security probably would, but how many jobs I had in Tampa, and before I got one that lasted for a year or so, and then it was the same thing over, even worse. And I ended up here, where my stepmother was from this county uh, originally, but so so I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to live with this kind of illness. What was we talk? Oh, I wanted to talk about. I see the screensaver. Come on, what the fuck? I didn't need that's a new setup there yet. Uh, but anyways, so it's been rough, to get where I'm at. It's been very rough. It still is to try to better my social life and end up. I don't know. People tend to be resilient, and like I have been so far, that's the way I was. But by starting nicotine back, that's the only freaking difference. You fucking asshole doctors who want to say it's something else. You want to change my medication? Fuck you. Sorry about that for the rest of you. But some doctors might get the idea that they could better me this way or that way with their magical potions, and just, I'm fine, I'm balanced fine. Leave me the fuck alone. And just, well, there's that thought of that other country I was working on that developed the the in neighborhood by other in neighborhood capable people doing errands and getting paid for it for elderly and disabled people. That might include physical therapy and some extracurricular manners, you might say, too, I would think, in those countries that do that or want to do that. But our country is unique. So I was talking about big pharma. So when I got on Risperdal, I had to fight them with a grievance in the hospital with my rights advocate, who's now deceased, dearly missed. But we were three panel tribunal or something, or for the five, I think it was three, maybe five, I'm not sure, people that we were testifying in a big empty room otherwise, people. And, and so they ruled that I could be given the Risperdal. The reason they didn't want to give it to me was because it was more expensive than other ordinary first generation antipsychotics, the catch 22 being none of those worked. So, so, so they ruled I could have it, and then in 48 hours it made me well. So that was the end of the psychotic part of the story. But in my second book, I outlined different types of hallucinations, like you get in psychosis. The alprazolam withdrawal, and that happened years later, and this nicotinic withdrawal, and then the cognitive what the hell they call it, the cognitive this deficits they were talking about, and negative symptoms of schizophrenia magically go away. More so, they're still there, but there's not so much where you can't function. From nicotine, it treats schizophrenia. They're finding. Read some fucking Google scholar articles. You I could cuss you, shrink some more, but maybe other people would find it funny. I don't know, but they really intellectually infuriate me. Not physically, where I'm going to go after do anything to anybody. I mean, it's tell them they're an asshole, maybe, but Google it. But if I hear that from anybody, but because I've had to be in charge of my treatment since like oh man, like I got out of the hospital well in '95 January and February 1st. This is the other point about that Risperdal. So they didn't want to give it because it was expensive. So when I got out of there and got the first prescription month's worth of prescription filled the next day or two, they gave me like a 2 week supply, I guess, I don't know, but they used to. But so I got that filled and it cost like $300 even. Okay, for a month's worth, 2 tablets a day. So then a while later, a short time, it was $205. Then it was like at the end of how many years? 28 years of being on it, or well, not no, that's maybe 25 years, 24, 23 years after 20 years, maybe after I was on it, I started seeing. I used to see the price on the pharmacy slips was printed on there, what it cost me with my copay, or okay, and what was the actual price of the drug they're billing. So Risperdal went up to $700. So many, like 20 years later. Why did it have to go from 300 to 700 in 20 years? A big pharma. And then since it's going generic, it's like $88 for the same thing. If that's not a scalping and a ripoff, you all are blind as hell in the United States on either party you're on if you can't see that shit going on. Maybe you don't know enough people who are sick to try some of it yourself sometime. But so anyways, yeah. So there's that nicotinic factor that apparently I had to go addict myself back to nicotine in order to function and stay well. Isn't that ironic? It's the word. So paradox is another word. So this is just weird, man. Having to live with this. It's an illness. I'm sorry about the longer video, but I had some points, and I don't make notes. I perhaps should, but I don't have the composure to do it after all the things I've written over the years. And still, to communicate, you got to type anything. That typewriter just kills me. But or keyboard, I mean, for a computer or whatever. But we have to communicate by typing. We're all alone in our cubicles, our compartments. Have a nice day. I hope you can understand. I love the world, people everywhere here as well. And I just, yeah, if you're not an honest person, just stay away from me. You'll get in trouble like jail, not me.